Coming back home, is there an extra importance, just protecting home court, getting back on track and kind of getting the taste out of your mouth from what happened Monday?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the next game. And, at this level, in this league, the next game's going to have ultra importance to the highest degree for 20 league games. So I think I understand the question, Chad, and from a media perspective, I think you could create a spin for all 20 league games of why it's the most important thing in the world, and you wouldn't be wrong all year. And I think that's you're playing in one of the elite leagues in college basketball. Everybody's good, every game matters, so the next game's going to feel that important all year long. And that's one of the neat things about competing in a league like this is they all matter.
Arizona's really dynamic offensively, but also top 35 defensively. What have you seen from them on film that makes them such a tough matchup at both ends of the floor?
Yeah, they're very, very good. I mean, and again, we're going to sit in press conferences like this and say this for 20 straight league games, but they're an elite team in college basketball. As you mentioned, when you start really breaking them down, you see it in every facet. You see it analytically, on both offense and defense. You see the way they're playing here over the last month. They're starting to play their best basketball, and their team keeps improving. And you mentioned they're not a one-trick pony, right? I mean, offensively they put a lot of pressure on you in their transition offense. They're a really, really good half-court offensive team. They're obviously very well coached and have great players, and then they do some great things defensively as well to make it difficult. And then they're a great rebounding team, and that's why they're one of the best teams in college basketball, right? When you can say all these positive things about every aspect of the game, it's going to equal a great team, and this is a great basketball team.
How do you handle a guy like Caleb Love that, seems to have continued to mature? He's not just a volume guy now. He's also playing with a little bit more efficiency, but he's still going to get his 15, 17 shots again. I think he had 33 on 17 shots Monday.
Well, he was I think Pac-12 Player of the Year last year. I think that says enough right there, right? You're talking about one of the elite players a year ago in college basketball that's obviously continued to develop and grow, so he's even better at this point than he was a year ago as the best player in one of the top leagues. So he's a terrific, terrific player. And you could break down his game here, but he's just a terrific, terrific player that's going to cause problems for everybody that's got to face him this year. We're no different, but they're a team that is not about one guy or two guys. I mean, they have a roster full of guys that are really good, but obviously, the returning Pac-12 Player of the Year, preseason first team, Big 12 guy. I haven't looked at all this stuff, but my guess is he's a preseason All-American and all that kind of stuff. I mean, he's a terrific player.
You mentioned the rebounding. I think they average like 42 a game. How do you stop that? They had a 7-2 guy go down, another 7-footer comes in and gets 15 and 6, or are they just that deep?
Their front court has been a strength of the team since Tommy's been there, right? They've had not just good front court players, but depth in the front court. We played them in Maui a couple years ago, and there was just multiple front court guys. And so, they lose one of their main guys in the front court, but as you see, they have multiple guys that are ready to step in. And it's not just the front court guys that impact their rebounding. Certainly that's a big part of it, but they're a good rebounding team from top to bottom, regardless of the lineups that they're playing. And, we have the ability to be a good rebounding team. We've shown that. We have to do it more consistently, and we did not rebound the ball, I think, to our standard in our first game at Kansas State in league play, and we have to get back to playing with the level of physicality and edge that we've shown we're capable of playing with.
On that front, it looks like Dan is close to back to being himself, but I think he's right at or just 4 rebounds a game since coming back. is that part of just getting him back into the rhythm of things where he's getting some of those, balls that are out of his area that he normally is a factor for, that maybe that's not all the way back yet?
Yeah, I think with Dan, a couple things, right? You knew when he took all that time off that there were aspects of his game. It's not all going to, you don't take all this idle time and then you come back and it's just all where it's supposed to be in every phase of the game. So you know that, there's going to be a process for him playing at his best. And I think if you look at the time since he came back to now, he just kind of keeps improving and continues to find his rhythm. Like you saw the ball go in, shooting the basketball in the Kansas State game, that he shot it well all summer. He shot it well all preseason. He shot it well in our competitions before our first game. I think he shot it well in our first game. So, he's going to shoot the ball well, and we're seeing that in practice with him. It's just a matter of time before it happens in a game. So it's good to see the ball go in for him in a game, but it didn't surprise us. It's the same thing with the rest of his game, right? Whether it's sustaining defensive focus and effort, whether it's sustaining, his ability to run both ways in transition offense and defense, whether it's staying engaged offensively, whether it's getting, the rebounding habits offensively and defensively, whether it's decision making. He's having moments over the last month in all of these areas that are excellent, that show he's an elite player. I think the more he's back, and he works at it so hard in practice every day. So the more he's back, the more minutes under him, I think the more consistent he becomes.
Coach, CMOS is just 5 for 27 from 3 over the last 4 games. Have you been able to pinpoint anything on film that's kind of contributing to that, or is it just a case of the law of averages finally catching up?
I just don't even worry one bit about it. I really don't. It'd be one thing if he couldn't make a shot in practice, because we see him every day. He shoots it. He ain't shooting it any worse on a day-to-day basis than any point he has over the last 2 or 3 months. So I said this on my TV show a minute ago. You guys, and I get this, right? A lot of you guys get to see our guys play. You've seen them play 12 times. We've probably seen them play 70 to 80 times, over the last couple, 3-4 months. So we see it every day. I think I base a lot less on just that 12 times when it comes to something like shooting, than I do. I'm at 70 to 80 times. So if we saw a trend over a 3-week period where a guy couldn't just throw it in the ocean on a day-to-day basis, I think you start to look at what's the issues. But, he's just had a couple games where the ball hadn't gone in. I have no concern. If there's anybody I've never been concerned about shooting the ball, it's that dude, because he can really, really shoot it, and he shoots it well almost every single day. So the way he's being defended would be something to talk about. People are making a concerted effort to stay attached to him and make it difficult for him to get clean looks, and that probably over time has some impact. So we got to do a better job of screening for him and finding ways to get him in rhythm. But big picture, I'm not concerned about CMOS at all.
Coach, you talked about Caleb Love. Jadan Bradley is another very experienced point guard there to complement Caleb. Talk about what you see from him on film. Obviously, he can score the ball really well, but can also facilitate and control an offense as well.
Yeah, just another really experienced player. Aggressive with the ball and just puts a lot of pressure on you in transition and all their movement in the half court. You look at their team and they have it's like 2 point guards that start the game with those two that can put a lot of pressure on you, can create shots for others, and can also go create one for themselves. And as we've talked about here for a long time, the best teams in college basketball are going to have multiple guards. Those two, and that's just the start of it, because Lewis and Delaware. So they got a number of guys in the backcourt, but those two are terrific. Some of the best in college basketball.
You're back in front of the home fans. A lot of teams practice end of the game situations. Is there a way to practice the first 5 minutes of the game, and how important is the first few minutes? of the game, particularly on the road. I would anticipate this next game it'd be pretty crazy in the first 5 minutes, more so in your favor.
I just think, yeah, I mean, we practice situations all the time and coach them and talk about them and watch film on them and all that kind of stuff. But I think, I'd fire right back at you and say there's been some games we had off to pretty good starts. So I don't think there's some pattern there. Certainly we didn't get off to a good start against Kansas State, so it's easy to point to that. But I'd say that the 3 games before that we got off to really damn good starts. So 3 of 4, 75% of the time we've been getting off to a good start. Scott, I don't see a pattern. I just see that we did not play well to start the Kansas State game.
From first Big 12 home game, I don't think the students are back. How important will the arena be against Arizona on Saturday?
Extremely important. It always is. I've said this every time I've stood up here. Our fans give us a lift, give us an advantage. I say this when I'm out on the recruiting trail, and I brag to my friends about it, that when this place is in Fifth Third is right, when it's right, there ain't nowhere better in college basketball. Our challenge is to make it right every night, because when it's right, it's as good as we have the best thing going in college basketball. But we got to get it right 100% of the time, just like I think our fans say the same thing to us. Damn, when you guys turn it on and you playing with edge and you guys are defending and sprinting back and talking and rebounding and sharing the ball and executing, you guys are pretty damn good. And I'd say challenge accepted. We're trying to get it right every single time we play. But when it's right in Fifth Third, man, I'll take it over any place in college basketball. And I would be shocked if it's not really, really good on Saturday. But I appreciate when our fans come out. Just like our team, I want it more and more. But we need that kind of environment in this league, because there's a lot of really, really good environments in this league. So those are advantages that other teams have as well.
They put 90 on TCU. Kansas State gets 70 on you, but your last 3 games, you've held teams to like season lows. How difficult will it be to do that to this team?
Yeah, the great offensive team. And they're going to want to play at an incredibly fast pace. So I think from our standpoint, we don't really set goals in terms of points per game. It's more like efficiency numbers based on possessions. So like when you guys look at a statistic, like how many points do you allow in a game? I don't know. That is like so far away from how we look at it. I won't even speak to it. We're going to look at how many points per possession did we allow, and that's going to how we're evaluated. So if you're going to play a really high possession game, maybe the points get higher, but what's our points per possession allowed? And we're looking for the same thing with our offensive output.
At some point while you were at Greensboro, I imagine there was this switch from when you went from the team that was kind of hunting to being the team that was hunted. Are you sensing that with this team, that maybe they need to understand that teams are coming after them now? I mean, I think we saw it at Villanova, at Kansas State, where those teams saw an opportunity to get a big win at home. Do you have to teach your team how to adjust to that, like, we're going to get everybody's best shot type feeling?
I think at this level of basketball, you're going to get the best shot. Again, look at our league. Look, like everybody's really good. Everybody's really hungry. You're going to get everybody's best shot. What I challenge our staff, myself, our team on a day-to-day basis, it's not just our players, is to never, ever allow ourselves to feel like we have it figured out, that we've arrived. I don't know if that's directly answering what your question is, but you never, ever have it figured out. You're always trying to figure it out. You're always trying to take something that you're doing, if you're doing it well, and try to get a little bit better at it or master it. And I think it's human nature to when you have some relative success to want to go, oh, we're good, we got it, you know. And to me, that is the death of excellence and sustainable success. And so to me, that's the challenge on an everyday basis, you know, not just with this team, with any team, with any group of young people. And it becomes, I think that's become harder and harder in today's social media society, where there's so much instant gratification, right? Or, you know, when you have failure, so much, you know, instant rat poison, as I would tell the players, right? I mean, I think you have to try to remain in the moment and consumed and obsessed with improving. And I think when you can execute that, you're prepared for whatever is in front of you. And that's the goal. So regardless of whatever the circumstances are of how somebody views you or doesn't view you, or how big the game is, like, can we just try to get this much better today? Can we realize we don't have it figured out if we've won a couple games? And that's how you go from being good to being great. And, you know, that's the goal every single day.
This has nothing to do with this game, but do you remember Miles Simon at all?
Of course. Yeah, 1995 or 96. Was it 95 or 96? I was young when they won the national championship. 95 or 96?
96.
I think 96.
96.
Kentucky was 97.
Might have been 95.
It was 97.
It was 97.
Arizona beat them in 97.
In 96, he heaves in a
96,
65-footer at the buzzer, and
Oh, here.
No, in the
it was
tournament.
7-up shootout in Phoenix.
Okay.
UC was number 5.
Yeah.
And he throws one in.
I was 14. Don't remember that. And, you know, guys know I care about my basketball history and certainly my Cincinnati basketball history, but I was 14. I just remember watching that Arizona team, you know, whatever year it was, making the run through the NCAA tournament with Mike Bibby and Miles Simon and Jason Terry, and I mean, there's some others. I mean, that was a great team. And actually, it probably wasn't as good of a team all year as it was a great team through that run. And that's just that's what made March Madness special. But I do remember that as a kid for sure. But I didn't know that he hit a shot on Cincinnati. So now I don't like Miles Simon as much. And I didn't. Just kidding.
Anything else?
No.
All right, thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Coach.
Okay, thanks.